What's going on, guys? Welcome. So I'm really excited about the guest that I have today. Really just doing a super great job. He has a lot of background and experience. His show is primarily focuses on the political realm, but he has a ton of experience because he actually used to be a police officer with a ton of experience in investigations, arrest. This guy is exactly the person that you want to listen to, and he's local. So he has a ton of insight as far as this case goes. So this is his website, right? He does a radio show that's available on all major podcast and all podcast platforms every Tuesday. It's called Perception is Reality, and his name is Christopher Bilbrey. Kris, what's going on, brother?
Hey, not much. How you doing?
Not too bad. Thanks for coming on, man. Really appreciate you being up here.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's great to be with you.
So, I mean, if you're just tuning in, I've known Kris for a couple of years now. When I first touched down in Indiana, I first reached out to him because when you talk about politics in any facet, but especially involving corrupt government, Kris is the name that is used. I mean, he was actually, if you remember, Muncie, Indiana, with the police utilizing their patrol computers for illegal reasons. Kris was really like the primary guy behind that, getting it out there, even when mainstream media didn't want to focus on it. And now the FBI has kind of set up shop in Muncie doing something called Operation Public Trust. And you've been aware of the video that we're talking about here with this young man, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it was actually given to me by a gentleman I'm from Delaware County. Henry County is the county directly to the south of me. For those not familiar with Indiana or where Muncie, Delaware County, Henry County is, we are about 50-60 minutes northeast of Indianapolis. So for those sports fans, we are the home of Ball State University, the Cardinals. So we're about 35-40 minutes west of the Ohio line. And like I said, about 50 minutes north of Indianapolis. And Henry County, where this took place, is the county directly to the south of us. The county seat of Henry County is Newcastle, Indiana. The county seat of Delaware County is Muncie.
So you stumble across this video, and, like I mentioned, you were a police officer for many, many years.
Yes, sir. I basically, the basis of what I do is politically related. I have watched your content and a lot of others like you for several years now, but we don't do exactly the same things. I primarily focus on politics, political corruption. I would say more than anything, the focus of my show is trying to teach citizens the importance of getting involved, being involved, getting educated more than anything, then getting involved and being active in the political system at the local level, the state level, and the federal level. And so I'm talking about, what your mayor should and shouldn't be doing, what your city council and your county commissioners and your county councils should and shouldn't be doing. And while I do a lot of stuff here locally, and I have a lot of people who watch me in and around Indiana, and I deal with a lot of different folks and different governments throughout Indiana. It's not just in my local area in Muncie or Delaware County. I'm down in Henry County. I'm in Marion County. I'm in Madison County. I travel around and I focus. I have a lot of folks that listen to me from outside of Indiana because while different laws change from place to place, and there are differences in maybe what like our local mayor can do versus maybe a local mayor in, say, Colorado or New York can do. The basic tenet is the same, that citizens are in every sense of the word, the citizen is the most important aspect or the most important position in government. And people don't realize that. They think it's the elected official, or they think it's the president or someone like this. And that's not true. It's the citizen. And so while local laws and state laws do vary, the basic idea of you have a right to get involved, you need to stand up, you can be heard, you can ask for records in your area, and some of the same things. You have a right to speak, even though the police tell you you might not, or you have a right to film if you're in public. So there's a lot of crossover between what you guys do and what I do and what I think of. I'm a massive protector of the First Amendment, the Second Amendment, and things like that. So there's a lot of crossover, but politics is my main area. That said, when police issues kind of cross over into the political realm and it becomes a community issue and something like that, I do focus on that, and I have dealt with things like that in the past. And basically there was a gentleman in the community that somehow had become aware of this. I believe some kind of a law enforcement officer had actually reached out to him, knew that he was kind of vocal, and they made him aware of this arrest that occurred in Knightstown, which is a small town community about 25 minutes southwest of Newcastle, and made him aware of this arrest from the Knightstown Police Department, and also with assistance from the Henry County Sheriff's Department, and said that, I think some things were wrong with this. And so he said, someone needs to look into this. And the gentleman went to the Knightstown Police Department, like any citizen can do, and he requested all of the information. He requested the arrest report. He requested the body camera. And now I want to say, a lot of times when the police are involved in something, if there is an active arrest or an investigation, and they're further working on the situation, yes, the public has a right to get the documents eventually, but if the investigation is actively going, they can deny that request until that investigation is complete, and in some cases until the prosecution is complete. But in smaller arrests, like an OWI or something where it's not like a murder investigation, when the investigations wrap up pretty quickly, they have to give you the paperwork. And so what happened in this situation is they gave him the video, which is the body camera footage. They gave him an arrest report, and he then kicked it over to me and said, hey, you better see this. And a couple people had started reaching out to me because word of mouth has started getting around. So I did a couple things. First and foremost, I watched the video and I was appalled instantly. I saw very many things that I was worried about. Then the first thing I did was I reached out to the police department, and I also issued, on the federal level, it's called FOIA, Federal Records Release or Records Request. At the local level here in Indiana, it's called an Appor request, Access to Public Record Act, and I issued an Appor request. And when I had done that, also a local Indianapolis news channel had become aware of this as well, and we requested these documents at the same time, basically. And at that point, I think the Henry County Sheriff's Department and the Knightstown Police Department thought, oh shit, something's going on our hands. So they then instantly at that point said, no, we deny this. There's an ongoing investigation into this now. And I was like, okay, so I was going to try to get in contact with the gentleman before I went live with anything, but then the Henry County newspaper went live with the information, and they too said that they were denied. And so when the three of us had been denied this access, that this just, John Q. Public had got a couple days before, I got a hold of the public, the member, and I said, hey, are you okay with me going live with this? And he said yes. So I then did about a 2-hour video on, I have the platform, the website, and all of that you've shown. I'm on all major podcast hosting sites with an audio podcast, and then also on my Facebook page, which is just my personal Facebook page, but I open it up to everybody. My stuff is all open, so people can watch whether you're a friend of mine or you're not a friend of mine. Matter of fact, I have it open to where folks can even view it if they don't even have Facebook. If you simply would go to Christopher with a K, Kristopher, Christopher H. Bilbrey on Facebook, or facebook.com/Bilbrey 318, Bilbrey 318. You can see my Facebook page, and every night, Sunday through Thursday, I do a live at 8:35 or live at 9:35 p.m. where I go live and I talk about other things. So I have 2 basic shows that I release: the audio podcast that you can find every Tuesday, and then the Facebook page that you just pulled up there, and you can see my live videos. And there I did like a 2-hour long video back a couple days ago, and it's titled Right or Wrong. If you, it's one of the yellow screens there. If you go down, I did that on, is it called titled Right or Wrong?
I don't have a title on it. I'm just.
Let me see here.
Does that look about right?
Let me double check. Right or wrong. Let me see if that's. Yep, that's what it is. It was on 2/25/22.
Yep.
Yeah,
There it
that's
is, right
it.
in the corner there, right or wrong. Yep.
Yeah. And so I released that, and it got a lot of views, and there were a lot of folks that were watching that. And so basically, what happened there was, the cat was out of the bag at that point, and it was what it was. So it's a very disgusting thing. The most bothersome thing about this is, this was the 25th. Which was Friday the 25th. The following Monday, which would have been 3 days later, the 28th.
28th is what, yeah.
I went down to Knightstown at 8 o'clock in the morning because the Knightstown Police Department, I had to take off my shoes and socks there to be able to figure out 3 days past the 25th and the 28th. But I went down to Knightstown Police Department because the Knightstown Police Department has a merit commission, which is kind of interesting because a lot of smaller departments don't have merit commissions here in the state of Indiana. A merit commission is something that you normally hear of a larger department. So it's kind of interesting to me that they have that. And I don't really know what the deal is with the merit commission. I don't know what it's made up of. I don't know what their actual standing is. I believe it's made up of like a town board member and maybe a citizen. I don't know exactly who's on it, but for the last quite some time, the Knightstown Police Department Merit Commission has had basically a standing Monday morning meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning, to the point where what they've done is they've just posted a note up at the police department that says the Town of Knightstown Police Department Merit Commission will meet every Monday, and the town board members may or may not be here, and we may have a quorum, so that they are compliant with the open door laws of the state of Indiana. And so basically what happens is, they have this meeting, and they get together and they discuss police issues. So I showed up to go there. The citizen who actually requested these documents showed up to be there. A news channel reporter from WTHR Channel 13 in Indianapolis, Emily Longnecker, she showed up with a cameraman, and we were there at 10 till 8 on Monday the 28th. And we sat there. The meeting's supposed to be at 8 o'clock. Nobody was there. No one was at the town hall. 8:30 rolls around. No one is coming in. No one's there. We go and look. The town hall's supposed to open for business at 8:30 a.m. 8:30 a.m. rolls around. No one's there. 9 o'clock rolls around. Nobody's coming in. No one's pulled in the parking lot. No meeting is going on. I call the dispatch. I ask to have a police officer call me, and the police chief calls me and says, hey, can I help you? And I didn't know if he knew who I was or whatnot at that point. And I said, yeah, I'm just looking to see if there's a meeting. And when I said that, he was kind of short with me. He was just like, yeah, there's no meeting on the first Monday of each month. And I was like, well, that's fantastic. This is the last Monday of the month. So is there a meeting today? And he was like, no. And I was like, okay, well, so next Monday is the first Monday of the month, but since you're not having it today, are you having it next Monday? And he was like, nope. And I said, well, can you tell me when the next meeting will be? And he said, it'll be posted. And I'm like, it's always posted. It's posted right now. And he was just very short. What I later learned, and I don't think I told you this the other day when we were talking, was someone in the county was listening to just regular police traffic on a scanner.
Right.
And when I made the phone call and Henry County Sheriff's Department dispatch notified Knightstown PD that I wanted him to call me, the traffic actually stated Henry County Knightstown Police Department subject Christopher Bilbrey is asking you to call him. The police chief got on and said, Henry County, his unit number, tell Mr. Bilbrey I don't have a comment for him. And they didn't relay that message, and then he did call me, but so he knew exactly who I was.
But they do that normally. Like,
no, I mean, yeah,
they do
very
the same thing with Dakota Nice. When something like this happens and they'll have these, false transparency meetings, I went to the meeting and I'm waiting. Now, people started showing up. And when the administrator came, he seen me in the parking lot. He was like, oh yeah, I just got to go get something. He disappeared. No meeting. Meeting was canceled. It was all said and done. Guys, if you're just tuning in right now, this is Christopher Bilbrey, host of Perception is Reality. You can check him out on his Facebook page where he does live shows. Also on his podcast, Perception is Reality. That's on every Tuesdays. It's on all major podcast hosting sites. He's on way more platforms than mine is. He actually does a really great job. He used to be a police officer. The reason that we're here and what we're talking about is this gentleman, and we'll call him Citizen X. You guys can figure out his information should you want to. We're trying to just bring to light what actually happened. I'm going to play the video and let you guys take a look at what happened. It turns out that the body camera footage I got actually came vicariously through Chris Bilbrey, because when I chased down the three different people that sent it to me, it turned to come back to actually your Facebook post. So you're really the first boots on the ground with this. I'm going to share the video. Long story short, this guy, this stuff I can't say. This guy's pretty scared right now. He's got some stuff going on, but to suffice to say, he's having some mental health issues. He calls the police he calls IMPD for assistance. They don't render assistance. He's not involved in any violent or physical altercations. He leaves his home. Because he's not getting the assistance he requested via the telephone, he's now walking to the police so he can request assistance in person. While he's walking down the street, he sees a passing Knightstown police officer, flags him down. And from that point moving forward, it leads to Henry County Sheriff showing up. I'm going to share the screen so you guys can watch just a brief part of this video because it is 30 minutes long and you can get an idea of what happened to him. And then Kris can fill you in what happened after that.
It takes forever. Why don't you just shut your fucking mouth till we figure this out, okay? Shut up. Shut your fucking mouth till we figure this out. You understand? Huh? I don't have a body cam. Shut your fucking mouth. Sort of ID in him. I don't know.
Are they going to take a PI on an 04 in this county after he said we had 2 drinks? They will?
Fuck yeah.
Okay. I mean, save him from hurting somebody.
We'll see the other side of the story.
Yeah.
If anything's, we could ID, so.
Yeah, that's one thing. That's my only.
Huh? We'll send what? We'll send your ass to jail?
That's where he's wanting to go.
Out of fucking society, right? Nope. See up front. Better view.
I get too much garbage in the back seat.
What you doing? Put your fucking feet down, motherfucker. No.
No, you're
Stay
not getting
right
in the
there.
back, man.
Keep your feet down. Don't act like a fucking child, moron. You already act like a child.
Get fucked up, buddy.
Okay, listen to me. Real good, okay?
Get the fuck off my forehead!
Well, sit back.
Get the fuck away before you fuck up! Oh,
Stop,
just like
okay?
that. Just
Stop,
like that.
okay?
Place camera. Get the fuck back, bitch.
Stop, okay? If
Tell
you
his ass
if
to get the fuck
if your
back.
hands go any further, you're gonna get tased. Do you understand?
Don't try to put your hands in front of you.
Stop. You understand? Stop.
In the fucking chin.
That's right. It was right there. I can do that.
You're going to act
All right.
stupid.
Alright.
All right, so that's just a brief part of the video. You can find it on Perception is Reality. I also have it up on my channel as well. It's pretty disgusting to watch, and I play this part first because the first 27 minutes, people are going to talk about how nice and how decent this cop was. And on the second part of the video, which I didn't put up because I want you guys to go check out Kris. He's explaining on the way back to the police station, I was trying to be cool with you. Why'd you make me tase you in the neck while you were handcuffed? I mean, that sounds ridiculous. And the reason I played that part of the clip is officer comes, this guy's being super compliant. The officer starts escalating and swearing at him, telling him to shut the fuck up. Then by the time the cop goes around to the trunk, he's saying, listen, I don't have anything I can hold this guy on short of a PI, and he blew a .04. It's less than half the legal limit. Will they even take him for that? He's like, fuck yeah, let's just bring him down there. And then he says to this guy, he goes, well, yeah, this is the type of society that we have is people like you. I mean, keep in mind, guys, he's sitting in the front of a patrol vehicle. He should be in the back by protocol. He can't because the back of the vehicle is so trashed that he can't even get his legs inside the vehicle. So now he's sitting in the front. They say, don't put your hands in front of you. He's got his arms handcuffed behind his back. I mean, this is absolutely ridiculous. So we post this video. Kris posted it before I did. As of the 28th, a special prosecutor. Kris, why don't you tell us? So he gets to the police station. What happens as far as charges go? Because he was only arrested for resisting arrest, which we all know is a supplemental charge. You can't resist an arrest that didn't take place.
Yeah, yes, sir. So they get to the police station, and actually, if you go to my Facebook page, there are actually 2 other videos in the video that I share. There's also a link to 2 other videos where you see the rest of the video, basically. And what it does is it shows the ride to jail, and it shows them at the jail and the cop filling out paperwork and all of that. And there's everything else goes smoothly. Like, there's no incident. This guy's not like thrashing around. They don't get to the jail, and they don't need like 15 jailers to come out and help get him in. Like, they walk in and everything's normal, and he's normal. And the cops, what's interesting to me is once the cop is now away from everyone else, his attitude does come back down, but the damage is done, and it's very interesting. So they ended up charging this guy, preliminarily charging him. Rather, let me restate that. People so often think that the police make the charges, or that you as the private people make charges as victims. It's the prosecutor's office in the state of Indiana that formally charges you. So the police will book you into jail under preliminary charges, and then you can either bail out or you're OR'd, and the prosecutor's office has a period of time in which they can charge you. If they don't, in the state of Indiana, they have 2 years to charge a misdemeanor, and they have 5 years to charge a felony. And so that can kind of hang over your head. So this guy was preliminarily booked in by the police on a completely, in my opinion, bullshit charge of public intoxication at 0.044, which is asinine. And then he was also preliminarily booked in for resisting law enforcement. Now, I want to be very clear. The prosecutor in Henry County has already came out and said, we are not charging this individual. We will not be charging him, and these charges will not be picked up. So they have already made that statement.
So why won't they charge him specifically in this instance? I mean, for the people that are going to watch this video and they're Blue Line supporters, they pay their monthly stipend to the Fraternal Order of Police, and they're just going to go with this guy deserved it for whatever reason. Why won't the prosecutor charge this man?
The prosecutor in Henry County will not charge this individual, first of all, because he has discretion, and in this instance, he's using it appropriately. But I very much agree with his right to charge. And I want to be very clear, as far as being a just all around at all time Blue Lives supporter, or a part of the thin blue line, I might not say at all times, but I am very pro-police. You're probably not going to find another individual more pro-police than me. And as a pro-police individual, I will say, this is horseshit, what occurred here. And I feel like that should be given a lot of credit, because I'm not saying like defund all the police, burn their houses down. I support them. But when they do wrong, they must be called into accountability. Absolutely. Accountability for all is more than just the title of the show. It is something that should be demanded. And so in this case, the county prosecutor has determined that charges won't be filed here because after the whole big social movement erupted in the last couple of years because of the George Floyd incidents and incidents before and after that, and because of folks like yourself doing what you do, and all of this, basically, a lot of departments, a lot of law enforcement related fields have had to review policies. And within the last couple of years, the county prosecutor came out and said a couple of things. Number one, resisting law enforcement cannot be the only charge. That cannot be, you cannot be arrested for resisting law enforcement without having some kind of other further arrest, as you've discussed on this situation and many others. But besides that, they've been very clear that passive resistance is not something that, number one, should warrant the charge of resisting law enforcement, and two, it's not something that use of force should be included upon. So if I'm fighting City Hall and something's going on, and I'm like, I'm gonna handcuff myself to the building or something. If I am protesting and I am being compliant, and I'm just sitting here and saying, no, officer, I'm not going to move, I'm a very large man, you better call some people down here to move me. I'm not fighting you, and I won't fight, but you better come move me. I am passively resisting. They can't then just start kicking the hell out of me and to haul me off for resisting. So in this situation, the prosecutor's office said they did not meet the standard for resisting law enforcement. And now, technically, I guess if you blow .01 and they would have taken him to the hospital and maybe blood drawn him and found out that he had some kind of alcohol in his system or something, or maybe some other intoxicant, which we have no cause to believe that this man had.
Right.
If they would have done that, I guess technically he could have been charged with public intoxication because he was in public, and at that point you would have to look at what the law of intoxication is. I mean, this man wasn't screaming, he wasn't being loud, there wasn't other people around.
So the PI law for Indiana at a state level, now when we get to different counties, I think that West Lafayette actually has the strictest PI law.
Yeah.
But the law, as far as there is public intoxication in Indiana, but you have to be acting in a capacity that would diminish your own health or put others' health or safety at risk. The same kind of probable cause that these cops would need to, like you said, passively resisting. The greater of society, the person or the officer has to be in immediate danger for them to deploy use of force, which is the same thing with a PI. But I mean, if you're driving a vehicle and you blow under a .8, you're driving home. You know what I mean? This guy is walking down the street.
Well, and that's very important to note, because I always, and in this case, for those folks that are the ardent police supporters, just for the fact that they have a badge put on their chest and they're wearing a blue or green or brown polyester pants, I like to let everyone know that I'm giving them every room here. If you're driving in the state of Indiana, there is a law, because as most states have, is .08 is the legal limit. However, in the state of Indiana, if you're .05 to .079, you could also be deemed that you are maybe over a limit of what you should be able to be driving, and it's officer discretion. So if you're not a drinker and I pull you over, and this is the first night you've ever drank, and you blow a .05 and you're all over the place, I could technically take you to jail for OWI at .05 in the state of Indiana. It's my discretion. Very, very, very few people do that. I've seen some cases where that's happened, where someone has just been completely trashed, maybe a 21-year-old who's drinking for the first time, and they've drank just a few beers, but they're all over. Something like that's happened. In this case, though, that does not even meet the requirement here. This is the absolute case where if this guy would have been driving, there's no way he could have been jailed. He's definitely under that. So this does not meet the requirement for what would take to be a PI, a public intoxication. And so there was no arrest here. Matter of fact, in the full body camera, and I would highly recommend everyone to sit back after this feed tomorrow sometime and watch the full recording, because it's very interesting, and it shows you, the public, that, man, when you're having an encounter with law enforcement and you're thinking, hey, everything's going good here because this dude's being cool, you need to understand that sometimes
That'll change in an instant. That can change
backup can arrive and shit can go sideways really quick, because someone's having a bad day, going through a divorce or whatever, and they just don't want to be at work that day or that night, and shit can go sideways quickly, because, like you said, this encounter was nice. And for those folks that say, well, he kept putting his cuffs in front of them, when you watch the full video, you will see a couple things. First of all, I want to say, in my experience, if I do not try my very best to Monday morning quarterback the police, but in this situation, I feel like I can say, if I was in this situation, this is what I would do, because I've been in this situation. I've been behind the cop car. I have been driving down the road and been kind of flagged down by somebody, or rolled down the window and been like, hey, you okay? Had a conversation and got out and talked to somebody. I have been in the situation. I have arrested folks for public intoxication. I have arrested folks for other charges, and it's then turned into resisting. So that's something I have, knowledge of. In this situation, I I can't say that I would have ever handcuffed this individual. And I think that's where the situation goes south immediately. When the police officer gets out, this guy does a couple things. He first raises his hands. He then turns away from the officer, gets down on his knees, and is now faced away from the officer with his hands up. And he's on the ground. And as the officer is approaching, you see him throw something out of his right hand. And it's a screwdriver that he throws. Now, I want to be clear, because when you and I were talking the other day, the word the screwdriver is referred to as a shank. The individual is the first person to call it a shank. It wasn't the law enforcement. He says that he has a shank. He says it a couple times. And I was like, when I talked to this individual, I was like, dude, you didn't have a shank. You had a screwdriver. This was a screwdriver. You might have considered it that or whatever, but there's nothing that makes that a screwdriver, not a screwdriver. It was a screwdriver. And so he throws it down. So he makes himself very compliant for this officer. I would have walked over. I would have patted him down. I would have stood him up. I would have done maybe a further pat down. If for some unknown reason I would have wanted to detain this individual for a second, maybe I would have popped him in cuffs. Probably, if that would have been the case, I would have put him in cuffs in front. And as soon as I determined that this guy did not have a weapon, and when I saw his demeanor, if this stop would have went the same way, I would have popped him out of handcuffs, or he wouldn't have been in them within just a matter of moments.
Well,
and we would have been
when he showed up.
What?
When the police officer showed up, all that he knew is, like, I'm going to play this for you guys real quick. And I'll put sound on so you can actually hear it.
Yeah.
Because you're just seeing as I'm replaying it, but I want you to hear the voice. This guy detains himself, so to speak. Let's take a look.
What's the matter?
Police station.
You're looking for the police station? What's going on?
You just threw the...
What did you do?
Preventing myself.
Were you trying to hurt yourself?
Nope.
Well, we see what's going on with you. Okay. Were you thinking about hurting somebody else? Did you hurt somebody?
Feelings-wise.
Feelings-wise? Okay.
When he asked him, did you hurt someone? You don't hear what he says, but the officer repeats it. He says, did you hurt someone? Are you feeling like hurting yourself? Did you hurt someone else? Did you hurt somebody? The gentleman says, feelings-wise, meaning he hurt somebody's feelings.
Right. And that's a real problem. Like, I mean, up till this point, even as an activist, I don't have a problem with this guy being detained and being placed in restraints at this point, because if I'm a normal person, let me put myself as a cop for a second. I'm driving down the road, someone flags me down. He immediately gets on their hands and knees. Something's up with the situation. But the first thing that I'm going to think to myself is either this guy did something terrible or he's got some mental problems,
yes.
Right? And you can immediately see that this guy, he looks like he might have had a drink. He probably doesn't drink much. He's got a slight buzz going, and he needs help. And he's saying, this is what's going on. But at this point, the officer only knows this guy's saying that he's hurt someone's feelings, and he has a screwdriver. There's absolutely no probable cause. So the next step moving forward in this investigation should be, what do I do for this guy? Maybe we get this guy an ambulance, of course, because the situation is odd. They start contacting the other police departments and getting background, but you get back up there immediately. Like, once you have him detained, do your pat down, wait for backup to get there. And at that point, take him out of his restraints and figure out where you need to go next. He never should have wound up in a police car, and every single thing they did wrong. They placed him in the front. This is what we're
Absolutely.
paying for, people. This is your tax dollars. When he sues because they put him in the front of the car, major violation. It's not departmental protocol. There's access to weapons in the front seat. He can access the computer systems, and there's no reason for this police officer to believe that he can't do that. He slipped his cuff twice. You know what I mean? Like, actually, when they're driving back, the police officer says, "Did you touch my computer?" Like, so that's problem number one. Number two, they tase him in the face. They have no probable cause to tase him. It's like you said, it's passive aggressive, so there's no reason to tase him. Then they tell him to stand up, and he says, "I can't walk," because he just got tased in the neck. The guy took it like a champ. He says, "Well, you're going to tase me in the chin?" All right.
Yeah.
They throw him on the back of the trunk of the car, and they let him sit there with no shoes on. And it's winter in Indiana.
Yeah.
It's 20 degrees.
Yeah, and to a couple points there, because so far we've just talked about this beginning part of the stop. We've not even really talked about the major shitstorm. But this is so important, and then we can move into that briefly. The thing that's important here is when he's handcuffed, the first time he's put in the back seat of the car, and there's a bunch of, I don't know what it is, but you see it briefly in the video. There's a bunch of shit in the floorboard of the car. So he's a small guy, okay? He's thin and looks to be, under 5'5", 5'4", maybe smaller. When he's in the back of the car, he's handcuffed behind the back, and that's not comfortable just to begin with, just be handcuffed behind the back. Then to be handcuffed behind the back and in the car is not fun. But now imagine you can't put your feet down. So he's actually, instead of sitting in the back of the car, he's actually more on his back, and his neck is bent against the back of the car. So his handcuffs, instead of being behind him, are now more. Yeah, let the video run here while we're talking. What happens is he's now got his hands kind of more under his butt a little bit. And so the officer talks to him and says something to the effect of, like, that's not comfortable. You can just barely see it there, and you see he gets in here.
It's going to go back in a second. Once it gets there, I'll pause it, because you'll see that this guy, he literally cannot fit his feet into the car for the door to close because the back seat is so trashed. It's going to show it.
Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. And so basically what happens is he's talking to this guy, and he's like, that doesn't look comfortable. Let's pop you out of here and redo your cuffs. So he redoes his handcuffs. And he was like, when he redoes them, he says, now they're tighter. I bet you can't do that again. And he kind of like chuckles. He's not saying, because let me be very clear. I have arrested individuals who I put their handcuffs behind them. We've had to kind of tussle with them a little bit. These people have been bad people that have done things, and they're legitimately trying to get their hands free to get away or to hurt me or to hurt someone else. And I've had to be like, no, like, knock that off, knock that shit off, don't do it again, and put them in kind of further restraint. That has happened. Okay.
So that's him right there in the back seat.
Yeah.
With his feet up against the back of the chair because he can't even fit in there.
Yeah. But that's not what happens in this case. This guy jokes with him. The cop kind of jokes with him, and almost he's not giving him a challenge. Hey, let me see you do it again. But he almost is like, now look, I put you in there tighter. I bet you can't do it again. And the guy does slip his cuffs in front of him again. And when he does that, the cop at that point doesn't say, don't do this again. He's never given orders. I don't like this. Don't do this. The cop just kind of like, dude, that's not smart. You shouldn't do that. Matter of fact, one time he does it, and I said, man, this dude ought to be like, this guy's like a magician. He did that quicker than I've ever seen.
Right there it is, right there. He's trying to.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's like up until this point, and I would ask people, because I'm not going to play the whole thing. It's 30 minutes long, and you really, for context, need to go to Kris's page so you can see everything. But the altercation from beginning to 26 minutes into this body cam footage is this police officer being really nice. You know, he's doing his best to kind of accommodate this guy. He's doing okay. There's really nothing wrong. But then as soon as backup gets there, this guy starts talking about creating charges. No probable, like creating, not even no probable cause, creating probable cause, creating reasonable articulable suspicion, because he clearly doesn't like this guy. And I would say the first 27 minutes of that cop being nice matters not, because as soon as his buddy shows up, he's willing to be an asshole. And here's the thing. As big of a dick as his buddy wasn't the one that tased him in the face. He was. So it's almost like if I'm a dork on the playground and Kris is this really nice guy and he's being real nice to me, but he wants to be cool, and the cool kids see him being nice and they come over and they start picking on me and say, Josh, you're a real jerk. We don't like you. And Kris is like, yeah, right. And then he punches me in the face. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's a dick. It's been clear that he's a dick. He's not hiding that he's a dick. This guy was a wolf in sheep's clothing. He couldn't wait to tase somebody. I mean, you can't have a handcuffed, first of all, mentally ill with absolutely zero. What's up, High Impact? Zero help at all. No mental health help, no physical help, no ambulance come. This man is mentally ill. He's sitting in the front of a police car. He is secured. And what most people might not know is his handcuffs are now double cuffed and looped through his belt. So he can't move at all. So the fact that a mentally ill handcuffed man in a patrol vehicle that's completely restrained has his head smashed against a headrest and then he's tased in the face, I mean, it's no wonder that they dropped the friggin' charges. I think they appointed a special prosecutor to this just for the air of public transparency. Nothing's going to come of it. I mean, High Impact Flicks, you want to do a video on this? You should absolutely. It's terrible. I'll show that part again just because more people are starting to come in now. But I mean, have you ever seen this face on when you were a police officer, someone do some shit like this?
Well, I mean, I've seen police officers get out of hand. I've seen things that shouldn't have happened, and you know that's when someone speaks up, and it's your role to say, hey, back off, go cool down, take a walk, we've got this, whatever, so it doesn't escalate to something different. And that's the big rub with George Floyd. There were 3 other people there. Now some of them were new. It was like their first couple days, and so they didn't want to speak out against, that's what should have happened there and in so many other cases. And that's what should have happened here. This guy has been having an okay conversation with this individual, and everything's been normal, everything's been cool. And then basically what happens is, I wrongly stated in my initial analysis that you have 2 county cops get here together and one of them is a field training officer, and that's not what happens. Basically, there are 4 county cops out working this shift. 2 county cops go to this house to check to see if this guy's girlfriend or significant other is okay, if there's anything going on back there. And for the record, they get there and they say, we're talking to her, she's okay, there was no battery, everything's all right here. So even if you keep this guy handcuffed this long, which you should not have, at that point, at the point when the other deputies say, hey, everything's cool here, then what should have happened is they should have been like, okay, everything's cool, we're gonna pop you out of the handcuffs, because that still happens before everything goes sideways. But they didn't. They kept him in the in the cuffs. And so what happens here is, I've told people, to walk away and cool down many times. It's my opinion that the Knightstown police officer should have said, as soon as these 2 other officers rolled up, one of them says nothing almost the entire time. He does not engage. He's not part of this.
Which
is basically just Deputy Dickhead here. Pops around and says, you get there just right off the bat. He says 2 things. He says, are you trying to go to jail tonight? And the which to me seems kind of confrontational. but the other officer said he's wanting to go to jail tonight, which I don't think he ever said that. He was walking to the police station. That's what he said. He was walking
to him privately. I'm not going to release his reasons for going there. He
Yeah.
intended no harm to police or to the public
Sure.
whatsoever. But he was not going to the police station to be incarcerated. He had other business, and which is his, but it was never to harm anyone.
Right.
Everyone, just real quick, for folks that are coming in, we've almost doubled our numbers. High Impact Flicks is in here. Just for people that haven't seen it, I'd like to play it from this point on just until the tasing and they pull him out of the car, just so you can have an idea if you're just tuning in what we're talking about. It gets kind of wonky when we have a stream that's going so long, because some people come in and they're like, what are you guys talking about?
Sure.
So we have Kris Bilbrey, and Kris is from Perception is Reality. He's awesome. He's the guy that's just, he really just like, he's a professional exposer. He really doesn't have like one side of the, like he will expose you if you do something wrong. He used to be a police officer, and he's more than willing to call them out if they do something wrong, which here they did. So let's take a look at this.
I've only had one drink. The one's still at the house.
What?
I said I only had one drink. The other one's still at the house.
Okay.
Four Loko.
So it takes forever.
Don't you just shut your fucking mouth till we figure this out, okay?
The fuck?
Shut up. You shut your fucking mouth till we figure this out. You understand? Huh? I don't have a body cam. Okay? Shut your fucking mouth.
Sort of IDing him. I don't know. Are they going to take a PI on an 04 in this county after he said we had two drinks? They will?
Fuck yeah.
Okay. I mean, and save him from hurting somebody.
Let's see the other side of the story.
Yeah.
If anything's, we could ID, so.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. That's the only.
Huh? Full send what? Full send your ass to jail?
That's where he's wanting to go.
We're not a fucking society, right? Nope. To the front. Better view.
I get too much garbage in the back seat.
What you doing? Put the fucking feet down, motherfucker.
Can you put the back?
No.
No, you're
Stay
not getting
right
in the
there.
back, man.
Keep your feet down. Don't act like a fucking child, moron. You're already acting like a child.
Move this forward.
Okay.
So,
Fucked up, buddy.
I don't-
Don't get fucked up, buddy.
Okay, listen to me. We're good, okay?
Fuck shit. Get the fuck off my forehead!
Well, sit back.
Get the fuck away before you fuck up! Oh,
Stop,
just like
okay?
that. Just
Stop,
like that.
okay?
Place camera. Get the fuck back, bitch.
Stop, okay? If
Tell
you
his
if
ass,
if,
get the fuck
if your
back.
hands go any further, you're gonna get tased. Do you understand?
Don't try to put your hands in front of you.
Stop. You understand? Stop.
In the fucking chin.
That's right. It was right there. I can do that.
You're going to act
Alright.
stupid.
Alright.
You
Right
act stupid.
now you are going to jail.
Stop acting stupid.
Thank
Do
you.
you have any leg
Go
restraints?
ahead and send me to.
No.
Go ahead and send it.
A belt?
Yeah.
Like
In my fucking chin.
Has the ring on so you can handcuff them.
Send
I
it.
do it for EVs.
yeah.
The other guys might have jackets.
Go ahead and send it to the fucking Henry County Jail. Go ahead.
Shut the fuck up, dude.
Figure a way to do it.
Man,
Stand up.
man.
Let's put him on my hood.
Down.
Okay, we'll put you up here.
Why not? Okay, look like a fucking baby.
Lean your head down and get on the glass.
So I want to pause right there. Let that sink in, people. The cop just says, go ahead, lay there like a fucking baby. He's handcuffed behind his back through his belt loop, which is not protocol at all. I mean, there's reasons that these restraint belts are conducted, even restraint chairs. When you put people in these type of restraints, medical professionals are on staff and on standby. There's been no study, I'm certain, that cuffing someone through a belt loop is safe. But this guy says, I can't stand. You just tased me in the fucking face. I can't stand. So they said, all right, you want to be a baby? And they throw him up on the hood in 30 degrees. He's got no shoes on, and he's just laying there. This is absolutely just, it's disgusting to watch. So that's why when I have people like Kris, who used to be a police officer, like, and he's saying, this is disgusting. He was the one that found this. Someone else got it and then sent it to him. That video is on my my channel. It's called Cops Tase Handcuffed Man in the Face. And Kris also has the full body camera footage from when he goes up in the cruiser and then to when he's sitting in the police car. And then the cop's like, hey, man, you know, why did you make me tase you in the face? Like, when do we get to a point in America? Like, it's like if I walk up to you and I punch you in the face, and then I say, why did you make me punch you in the face? Or if I'm filming in public and then the police come up and say, you're going to jail, you can't film in public. Then they say, why did you make me arrest you? It makes no sense. Like at some point, like we have the right to be free from cruel and unusual punishment. It's our God-given right under this Constitution in this country that people have fought and died for, that we have the right to exhibit our constitutionally protected rights. Without like Fourth Amendment, some people are like, oh, well, the Fourth Amendment is you have the right to be free from, you know, illegal search and seizure. You have the right to be secure in your persons, your papers, and your effects, but you also have the right to enjoy forward progress without that progress being encumbered. They find this man on the side of the road. They have absolutely no probable cause. I've never seen a video interaction on body cam where someone has been more compliant, where they get on their hands and knees and allow the officer to cuff them up. This guy's cuffed for 32 minutes. Until the point where he gets tased in the face. And they say, well, don't move your hands forward again. Guys, look at this part of the screen. So he wasn't recuffed after he was tased. So you'll notice they say, don't move your hands forward or you're going to get tased. And he says, okay, he can't move his hands forward. His hands are literally up his ass right now. Okay. Yeah. His hands are up his ass. There's no way that he can move his hands forward. So because he's sitting on his wrists in a thumbs outward position, which is killing you if it's just behind your back, he's now sitting on his hands because they don't give a shit about him. He tries to scooch forward a little bit. He's in a patrol vehicle and they tase him in the face. And afterwards the cop says, yeah, well, it was a dry stun. I can do that. You can't dry stun someone in the face. And he goes on to explain to this guy, well, there was no other exposed skin. You had a jacket on. That's not the solution. The solution is not the only place I could tase you is from your carotid artery up. The solution was I have no probable cause or reasonable articulable suspicion to be detaining you in the first place. Why should I'm not going to exacerbate it by shooting you in the neck with an electrical current.
Well, you know, that's the thing is, again, for those that are just coming in here, this gentleman, this police officer that tased him is the taser instructor for the Knightstown, Indiana Police Department. And what's funny here is...
So, Kris, real quick, 1 second. Repeat that again for everyone.
Yeah, just so people can understand. There are two ways to tase an individual. You tase them by pulling the trigger and shooting the prongs out and it sticking and making an arc and tasing, or you take the cartridges off and drive stun it right to the person's, normally to the like a large part of the body, the ass cheek, the back of the the back, someplace around there, not the neck, the throat, the head. And this officer that does the tasing is the instructor for the department on tasing. So he knows more than anyone else what the do's and the don'ts are. And what's very important here is right around this time that he's on the back of the hood, there are two other officers that arrive that have not been a part of this. And one of the guys walks up and basically says, he tased him in the throat. Is that okay? And they're kind of talking, they're this is kind of strange, you know. And what happens is, one of the sergeants there, and I do not have a copy of this report. I have got this from a confidential law enforcement source. So this is not to have been seen by my eyes yet, but I do have a request into this. So I want to say I have not read this for myself, but I was told, and it was reported in the Henry County newspaper, the Courier Times by Travis Week, out of Henry County, Newcastle, Indiana, that the sergeant, that one of the sergeants that was on duty that night wrote a report up, and in the report he writes that the taser occurred in the jaw neck area, and that, you know, they kind of talked about whether that was okay or not. And he states in there that per taser instruction training, which he's correct, it states that you are not permitted to tase someone in the neck or the head for a couple of reasons. And it's funny, and they list these apparently in the report. He says, number one, and the first reason, is because of possible medical complications. And you can see that report, or the newspaper, on my website as well, on the Facebook page with where this video is at, so you can read it in the newspaper. And then reason number two is because it might not work as well. Well, who gives a shit if it doesn't work as well? Number one is very important because of possible medical conditions or issues, and that needs to be very, very important, to be known, is that it's happening kind of in the chin and the head, and that they are told, and you are told as an officer, not to tase someone in the neck or the head because of possible medical issues that could result from that, and for the fact that that's not really how it's made to work. So, that stuff is talked about and reported in this, in reports related to this arrest. And so that's very important that people need to understand this as well, that there are people there that knew things happened here wasn't right. And again, I think I started to say it, but I didn't. I feel like when the first officer walks up and starts cussing and carrying on, which, okay, whatever. I've got a foul mouth. We've all got a foul mouth. And depending on what goes on, I've been on arrests where, it's got to a point where I've told people to, shut the fuck up or whatever. Sometimes, look, there's people out there that you can say, hey, please turn around and put your hands behind your back, you're under arrest, and they will do it, and everything's okay. And then there are some people out there that you tussle with, and some people that only understand, sit down, shut the fuck up, and that's what gets through to them. Nothing that was going on this evening required
that.
What?
Not you're absolutely right. Nothing suggests that. When you're a police officer, you're at foremost, you're basically like a decent. You can't be a decent cop and not be able to read people.
Yeah.
I mean, normally in today's society, especially with everything that's going on with policing and communities and everything that's happened, this guy could not have been they had to do no work to detain this guy. I mean, I'm surprised he didn't call his own ID in and run it through APHIS. This is the second part of the video that I pulled up, so you can actually hear what Kris was just talking about when he double checks. He's like, wait, was it, I tased him in the throat. Was that okay? I'm going to show it real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, take that off.
Well, I put it around his belt loop because I didn't have any other options. Huh?
Yeah. Take your cuffs and put it through there.
All right. got 2 sets of cuffs on him.
You'll do that. Just like this.
Get this other cuff off. Do you?
No. No.
Right now we're busy. What a mess, man.
Yeah, I don't see it coming on me.
Yeah, I didn't know he had that until.
It shouldn't be this difficult. Like, they're upset with him now that they created this awful mess. It's like a Jenga board of handcuffs.
Yeah,
Right.
From that key again.
Well, and I even say that if for individuals who watch this entire thing, if they go back and just really look at the interaction between the law enforcement officers and everything, it almost seems as though the county guy that causes a lot of this craziness almost has an attitude with the Knightstown police officers. Well, when they originally, like, he's just in a bad mood. And to me, I think that when he first showed up, and the first and second thing he says is, you trying to go to jail, what's your fucking problem? After maybe the second time, he's like, shut your fucking mouth till we figure this out. I would have probably told the county guy, hey, I got this under control if you guys need to get out of here or whatever.
He thought he was
I don't know that I would have had them stick around. I would have attempted to diffuse that situation, because it's his attitude which throws all of this into a tizzy. It creates the Knightstown officer feeling like, hey, my buddies are here, I can act like a big badass. And it's really, really strange, just to see the dynamic really change here. It's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, and I think that you're absolutely right. And it's kind of like we talked about earlier. And I told Kris when we were speaking on the phone privately that everything that goes on when it comes to police misconduct, I equate to a child misbehaving and a parent needing to deal with it. And it's the same with this situation, right? Because he's only doing that because he's being cool. The other cop doesn't think he's as cool as he wants to think that he is. So he says, all right, well, I guess it's time to be a dickhead now. And look how quickly that, like 27 minutes, everything's fine. This cop shows up for backup. 3 minutes later, he's tased in the face. The thumbnail is the breathalyzer, Ryan. The actual tasing happens about a minute after that. So I wanted to show the breathalyzer as a pretext for that was their reason from the beginning to try and create probable cause. I'm going to finish playing this so we can find that part where he says, where he talks about tasing him. Hold on.
No, we already covered that. What a mess.
She said she set up a partner, and he said that he had a week before he was going to kill her. So we probably need to get the guns to safekeeping. Probably a good idea. He can't get access to them, but we're going to relay the information to him. Did dispatch send you to this?
I just walked up. He was walking down the road, and then
So
all
you
of a
just
sudden I
happened
go,
to stop out on him?
yeah.
You hopped out there like, TX. I didn't know if they dispatched you down here.
No, and then they said that he called IMPD threatening to kill everybody.
Yeah. Right. Right.
All right. Well, I'm just going to, I dry stunned him in the neck, so I'm just going to go, he want to go to jail, he's going to go to jail. Thanks, guys. I'll get your stuff to you. We'll go to the jail.
She was, she said she did, she was scared by this threat, so.
Okay. All right. They better not have, because that's.
So he kind of says like, oh, I dry send him in the neck. Think of how casually that conversation takes place. What if you, Joe Citizen, walk down the street like, yeah, what'd you do today? Shot someone in the throat with an electrical current at 500 megahertz. Not the, total norm.
I tell you, I've never seen. This is a very strange thing because. So what you got here is he was slammed. His head was slammed against the restraint of the neck of the seat of the car. He's tased in the neck, jaw, head, whatever. But also the other thing that's very concerning is they use the seatbelt, and we talked about that the other day on the phone. They use the seatbelt to choke him back and hold him against the seat as well, and it's just all because he was walking down the road with a screwdriver.
Yeah, they can't seem to get out of their own way. And Kris is right. I don't know if you guys saw that, because it's hard to focus on a lot of things. Like first there's the assault, and then the guy gets tased. It happens right here. So you'll see the officer open the door, and he's telling him he's basically telling him to quit moving, right? And to stay where he's at. So he's securing him with the seatbelt. So now he's putting on the seatbelt, and Officer Dickhead, we'll call him Officer Dickhead, is right off to his left. So the arresting officer steps back, and then you'll see, watch this, smashes his head against the headrest. At this point, this cop's in it to win it. He's like, all right, my buddy just assaulted him. What else can I do? So let me find something that I can play with. I need my own toy. So here you go, sir. Enjoy this. And now here comes the electrical current, tases him in the neck. And then shortly after this, watch, Officer Dickhead is going to stick his hands in. He's going to grab the restraint, and he's going to start choking him with the seatbelt. You'll see right here. See? He's reaching in. He's yanking that seatbelt and choking it around his neck so the guy can't breathe. I mean, I'm not one of those, auditors that say all cops are bad. I don't believe that all cops are bad. I know this for a fact because I have family that is police, that were police. I have family that still is police. I have people that I've met that I've become friendly with that used to either be police or are currently police. So I don't think all cops are bad. I think that there has to be good cops, because who is it that arrests these pieces of shit? You know what I mean? You can't defund police, because then the issue that you have is total lawlessness. Like, democracy can't work like that. Limited government, sure. Let's go down that road, because with all the fucking fiefdoms that exist within political enterprise and government, there's just no accountability, because there's no one to sit down and say, okay, we screwed up here. Or when you have a police officer doing something wrong, who investigates them? The police. So you can't defund police, but you can spend more. It's an old restaurant saying, hire slow and fire fast. After 9/11, the country needed police. They increased air marshals by about 3,000%, and they couldn't just get police at the normal bar. So they had to lower that bar a little bit, so that way they could get more boots on the ground, more asses in the seats, and more marshals in the air. But here's what happens when you do something like that. Say, for example, they lower the what you need to do, the qualifications to be a firefighter. Okay, and you used to be able to have to live 150 pounds in the scorching heat, but now we'll let you get away with 75 pounds lifting in the heat because we need firefighters. Well, if my mom's over 80 pounds, what is she, burning alive? We're fucked. That doesn't work. Like, you have to make sure that the person that's wearing that badge, that has access and ability per their qualified immunity to temporarily suspend your constitutional rights or terminate them, you have to make sure that they're not going to blow off the handle. If they're having a bad day, they're not going to stun somebody in the neck. And that's what we need to focus on, getting the bad ones out. So, that's why I will say that. Now, I'll say, like, any cop who would stand by to allow something like this as well, like that other cop that's in this video that we don't hear much from, he's just as bad as the rest of them. Because he has a duty to stop it.
Absolutely. That is very true. It's very disheartening because, these people work around each other, and there's a camaraderie with police officers, and you have this thing where you're able to kind of bust each other's balls, and you talk about things, and you're supposed to be able to, these are your brothers, and who, if you can't tell your brother that they're doing something wrong, who can tell you you're doing something wrong? And these people are supposed to be able to, when I was on the department, we could do that. We had a culture where we could be like, yo, you're getting out of line. You need to calm it down, whatever. And that just seems to be gone. I don't know. I know the whole defund the police thing was very, very big. I understand where they were going with that. I was conflicted because, knowing what I know, specifically from being a police officer, but doing what I do now and understanding dealing with city councils and budgets, when you defund the police, you still need a certain amount of people on the ground. You still need badges. You still need guns. You still need bulletproof vests and cars and things like that for them to do their job. So all of that stuff's going to get paid for. What happens when you start defunding police is the first thing that goes is training. And what we need more than anything else is more training. We need training. These officers need training dealing with mental health. They need, monthly training on dealing with subjects with mental health. They need to be talking with counselors. They need to be talking with psychiatrists. You hear so many people saying, we ought to be sending in social workers to cases or situations. I don't know what I feel about that, because you do that one time and then you find that you get 3 social workers mowed down by a 9mm handgun because a guy's going crazy, and that might not be such a good thing. So what I feel like is the way that we could benefit from that is giving law enforcement more mental health training and things like that, and we're just not seeing that. So I don't know what it's going to take, but I definitely know that when we see this, we have to speak out. We have to be very loud, and there has to be accountability, and it has to be quick. It can't be something that drags on and drags on and drags on. We have to be able to call it out. The public has to be loud about it. And Mick says rubbish, nothing to do with training. They all choose to be a bad cops. I understand what he's saying there. I'm not going to be like, oh, he's an asshole. That's right. He's right. Mick's right. There is a culture of bad cops out there, and it's just like
part of that comes from mental health. Like that's why I put your comment up, Mick. So for example, I went and I got my hair cut today. My barber went through 3 times the amount of training to cut my hair than a police officer did to be able to take my life. Right. However, here's the thing. So we talk about training on the one hand, where there has to be in-depth training, but things like Derek Chauvin, we saw that coming. So it's not as much, it's their fault, but it's our fault too, because we saw that coming. He had the most officer-involved shootings for any officer that was still in the department active at the time that George Floyd died. He had 22 sustained internal affair complaints. I mean, I've seen people that have had 22 allegations and maybe, 3 to 9, of them being sustained. He had 22 sustained. You have to somewhere find a gap where we say, here's training and here's mental health, and figure out something in the middle. And the other thing is, one of the biggest merges goes from being a veteran to being a police officer. for a lot of these times. And we, the people, we're paying taxes. Our government is asking these people to go die for us, and they're not giving them the right mental health training.
Yes.
And then you just get the guy that's a complete and total dick, like Officer Dick, and he was not a reserve. He was a full-time Henry's County deputy, excuse me. Guys, I really want to thank Kris for coming on, and I need you to go to his Facebook page, so that way, because there's two places where you're going to get videos, not videos, one's a podcast, but where you're going to get content from Kris. The first is Tuesdays on all major podcast hosting sites: Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Google Podcast, Castbox, Castro, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. You can listen to his podcast, and like I said, expand your mind, because he doesn't just do First Amendment activism. Really, that's not much of what he does at all. But look at what it says right here. Bilbrey has a passion for ensuring those in government are in compliance with the laws and practices of each city, county, state, and the Constitution of the United States of America. He is committed to educating citizens. Just take that one excerpt. That is exactly what I'm out to do. He focuses more on the political aspect. I focus more on the police and civil rights aspect, but we're all out there to educate each other. And here's the reason I say not all cops are bad. Kris was a cop. He's not bad. The reason Muncie PD has an FBI field office is because of this man. And we need other people. It's a shame he's not wearing the badge now, because our streets would be much safer and less people will be getting hurt. So I really ask that you would go to his podcast. Make sure you click the reminder for always, and then go to his Facebook page as well that we put up there. The link is also in the chat right now, to make sure that you're following him for all the content that you need, and support guys. Like, we don't make the big bucks doing this. Sometimes money's good, sometimes it's not, but we do this type of stuff because it comes and it stems from a belief, and it's a belief system that we can do better. And what more do we need to do as citizens than to make sure that for ourselves and our posterity, that we leave this world a little bit better than we found it. And we can't without folks like Kris speaking up, and folks like you guys listening. So Kris, thank you so much for coming out, man.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time talking with you, talking with your audience. Would welcome anyone over there doing what you do to check out the podcast. You can find it on all major podcast hosting sites. The home link is perception.fireside.fm. The Facebook page where you can get live video content is facebook.com/Bilbrey318. Christopher H. Bilbrey on Facebook. So you can find me out there. I'm out there. I appreciate what you do. I'm a definite, passionate supporter of the First Amendment, and it's very important. So keep up the good work. Be safe, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kris. And when you have more updates, you just let me know. I'll let the people know. So when you're doing a show, how about this, guys? Tuesday is going to be his show, so I'm going to be there listening. I'd like everyone here to be there Tuesday, so because I'm sure that we might have an update by then. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, but at least we can figure out how we can stay active and how we can get involved personally, professionally, politically.
Absolutely. And so if people really want to follow where the majority of the follow-ups to this link will be on the Facebook page. That's where I'll post all the written content. And I live stream, like when they have a town council meeting, when they have a police merit commission meeting, I will be there, and I will be live streaming that, and it will be on my Facebook page, and that's where you'll want to go to see that. So, definitely check out the audio podcast. That's my baby. That's what makes my world go round. But for the follow up for this, where you're looking at right there, Christopher H. Bilbrey on Facebook. Facebook.com/Bilbrey318 is how you get there, or Christopher H. Bilbrey on Facebook is where the follow-up to all of this will be. So you can send me a friend request. You don't have to send me a friend request. You can look at all my content without being my friend. You can follow. You don't have to. You can go in and ghost me and just watch it that way. I don't care about that. I care about getting the information out and people being educated. That's what matters to me.
Kris, we really appreciate it. Thank you so much for coming on, giving us your time, and getting the story out there. Because I'll tell you one thing, High Impact Flicks was in here. He's got 500,000 subscribers. Every video he releases is viral, and he's been asking where the links are for this thing. So because you did a video, then I do something. We know each other, so we've been talking, which is funny. And then he comes in here, maybe he releases a video. This is how we connect, and we can be on different sides of the spectrum too.
Sure.
Because it doesn't matter if you're pro-police and I'm anti-police, let's say, somewhere in the middle, we're American.
Absolutely.
And we're finding that common ground. So thanks, Kris. I appreciate it.
Thanks, sir. Be safe.
Take care. Everyone, that was Kris Bilbrey. Really appreciate him coming on. And, please make sure you go follow the podcast, and check out his Facebook page. You don't have to follow him. You can listen to it anyways. I have an appointment. I got to be somewhere. I'm going over to the Road and Tow Show, where I'm going to be chatting there for a minute. We're going to follow up and do some cool stuff. I'm going to leave you guys with some awesome We the People. So if you just got in here, make sure you hit us, give us a like on the way out. All the moderators, thank you so much for being here and making sure that you took the time to post Kris' Facebook link, his podcast link, and to put all the different links out there to make sure people get support. Even his Instagram, and somehow I think is not a PayPal, but a way. Someone asked about donating to him. They got that link out there as well. I mean, awesome friggin' moderators. So guys, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. We'll leave you with this, and just remember, that's the reason I stopped. See you guys over at the Road and Tow Show. Make sure you show them some love. Hit the bell. Set it to always. And we couldn't do it without you. The biggest part of the United States of America, the biggest part of the U.S. is us. So I appreciate every single one of you for watching, sharing, being a part of this country. And guess what? Even if you don't like me and you think I'm a piece of shit, that's fine. You typed in my chat. That's free speech, and that's what we're about. We're about making sure the First Amendment is protected. Why? Because it is the building block to what our country stands for. It is the very foundation of the freedom that exists here and within us. So thank you so much. Keep each other safe. Love one another unless you can't, and then tell someone to fuck off. It's going to be all right. We'll see you next time. It's the reason I stopped you today.